This is gonna be a rather difficult list to make, man. Rather difficult list to make. So, like I said, man, this is my list. All right, this is my list. I don't care if you want to argue my list, but this is my list. This is what I think. This is my top 15 players to ever play. So what's happening, YouTube? Welcome to JONJON TV. And on this episode, I will be creating my very own NBA top 15 greatest of all time player list, man. So I'm pretty excited, man. I actually, went in and created my own, man. I got my own pictures and everything like that. So let's just go ahead and get right into it, man. So this is what we got. So with me, I'm actually going to be selecting from 20 players. So right now I have Larry Bird, Wilt Chamberlain, Steph Curry, Dirk Nowitzki, Dr. J, Tim Duncan, Kevin Durant, Hakeem Olajuwon, Mike Jordan, Kareem, Kobe, LeBron, Magic, Karl Malone, Moses Malone, Oscar Robertson, Bill Russell, Shaquille O'Neal, Kevin Garnett, and Jerry West. So, this is a tough 20. Of course, I don't really have my list in order, but whenever I think about my top 20 players, these guys will be on my list. Of course, I had to think kind of hard about them. Of course, you got Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, John Stockton, guys like that. James Harden, it's kind of like a hard pass, but, I narrowed it down to these guys, man. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get started with the very first player. So as you see here, the tiers are, of course, the GOAT is going to be by himself at the top. I got the, number 2 and 3 right here, second tier, and then vice versa, man. So I'm going to kind of be sticking, with 3 players per segment, except for the first 2 segments, of course, at the top and the second one. So it's going to be a challenge, man, but we'll go ahead and get into it, man. So player number 1. Looking at this list, man, number 15 for me would have to be, it's gonna have to be Jerry West. So Jerry West is number 15 for me, man. I know you kind of thinking this guy is the logo. He did a lot for basketball. And I don't know, for me, man, as far as guards go, I'm not gonna really put it in order, but of course, whenever I think about guards, I'm thinking about, Michael Jordan, Kobe, of course. You could probably throw Dwayne Wade in the mix. I don't think he'll be as high, but Jerry West, he's probably around that 3 or 4 whenever it comes to the all-time shooting guards in NBA history, man. So he's gonna be the first one on the board for me. You gotta respect him. He's a logo, but he did lose a lot of NBA finals. I think he only has 2 championships. I think he is the only player to win NBA Finals MVP that was on the losing squad. So that's impressive. But, you got to factor in championships. And it was kind of hard to take down Bill Russell in the era that he played in. But, finals record means a lot. And, his finals record is pretty subpar. So Jerry West is going to be my number 15 player and first on the board. So, let's see. Number 14. This is going to be a rather difficult list to make, man. Rather difficult list to make. So I'm kind of looking at things. So who will be number 14? I'm going to try to keep track of this and write stuff down while I go. So Oscar Robertson, number 14. The first player in NBA history to average a triple-double in a season. Revolutionized the game. Started in an era where you had a lot of tough competition, man. You had, Bill Russell. You had Jerry West. Kareem wasn't really quite in the league yet. Wilt Chamberlain, he played against some tough talent. Bob Cousy was a point guard. John Havlicek. He played against some talent, man, and he definitely transcended the game. And Russell Westbrook kind of took what he did and went full force with it, man. So Oscar will probably be my number 14 guy off the board. So my next guy, I have KD. So KD right now is my number 13 player in my top 15 list. And of course with KD, man, he's an MVP, multiple time scoring champion. He played multiple franchises. Each franchise performed well. I'll say maybe Brooklyn underperformed a little bit, but of course they ran into a lot of injury trouble during his time there. But you know, he dragged OKC to NBA Finals. You know, a young OKC team there. Golden State, you know, I think this is why he's number 13 instead of being within the top 10, because you know he did go to a 73-9 win team and won a couple of championships, man. But of course, a championship is a championship, and a Finals MVP is a Finals MVP, man. So you know, you gotta put respect on Kevin Durant's name. Still one of the best scorers in the game right now, man, and I don't see him slowing down any soon. So you know, I gotta throw him in my top 15, and he's number 13. So that's it for the first tier. You know, I got my 13, 14, 15 players, and you know, this is how I'm gonna wrap up this first tier. So on to the next one, number 12. Right, it's gonna be a challenge, man. It's gonna be a challenge. So Hakeem Olajuwon, he will be number 12 for me, and I'm gonna tell you why. So you got one of the greatest players in history of the game. He was a great scorer, a great defender, great rebounder, got the best footwork in the history of the game. I don't care what anyone says. No one has better footwork than Hakeem Olajuwon. You know, you had players like Kobe Bryant going train with him, Dwight Howard. I'm trying to think of who else, but you know, you like those were the notable players, you know, and even Shaquille O'Neal admits how much of a bad man Hakeem Olajuwon was. So, you know, he got 2 championships. He might have got them because Michael Jordan was retired, but you know, 2 championships is still 2 championships, and you had to beat a real good Knicks team with Patrick Ewing and John Starks, and you had to beat a real good Orlando Magic team that was very young. You know, Shaquille O'Neal, Penny, Nick Anderson, you know, so, you know, he beat a nice little squad, man. So, Hakeem Olajuwon, he don't quite crack my top 10, but I'll say he's right on the outside of it, man. So, that's my number 12 guy. Number 11, the babyface assassin, Steph Curry. Steph Curry is by far the greatest shooter to ever play the game of basketball. He definitely changed the game of basketball forever. I don't think it's gonna ever be played the way it used to be played, and gotta give credit to him for changing the game. I'll say Mark Jackson gotta get some more credit whenever it comes to Steph Curry though. Mark Jackson definitely has to get some more credit. Multiple time MVP. I think he's the first unanimous MVP in NBA history. You know, he holds a 3-point record, and I don't think it's gonna ever be broken. I think the only player that may have a shot is probably Dame Lillard. That's if he outplays Steph, because, you know, Damian did have, I'll say a slightly better start whenever it comes to like his stretch of games, because, you know, Steph had those ankle injuries early in his career, but, you know, he's going to be holding that record forever, man. So I don't see anyone ever surpassing that. So Steph just outside of the top 10 for now, but he's right there. So right now, number 10, and this is where things get difficult, because I still have some great players. You know, I haven't moved KG yet. Dr. J, I'm looking at him. Moses Malone. But you got to start narrowing things down a little bit, man. So my next player up is going to be Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain. What more can you say about Wilt? Dude holds a lot of records still to this day that may never be broken. Still recorded the highest points per game average in the season at 50.2, I believe. Only player to ever score triple digits in an NBA game. You know, I mean, great player. At his time, he was the most dominant player to ever play. You know, no one could outplay him except for one guy that's a little bit higher on this list, man. So, of course, with Wilt, it's kind of like with Jerry West's situation. Dominant player, just don't have the championships to kind of back things up. You know, I think he has one with Philly and one with the Lakers, if I'm not mistaken. I can't really recall right off the top of my head right now, but, you know, compared to Bill Russell, he could not get over the hump whenever it came to Bill Russell. You know, with that being said, that's why he's number 10. That's why they have, let me see how many centers I think I have. So at least 2 centers for sure ahead of Wilt, you know. So I mean, top 3 all time whenever it comes to centers, that's respectable. And with that being said, man, that wraps up the first 5 on my top 15 list. Wilt actually makes it into my top 10, and rightfully so, you know, being a great player, one of the greatest centers to ever play. So now let's start talking about number 9. Number 9 for me will be, this is tough, dude. Let's go with the Big Diesel. Shaq, 4-time NBA champion, 1-time MVP, 3 times finals MVP. You know, he's a 2-time champion. Well, 3-time champion with the Lakers, 1-time champion with Miami. I'm messing up my numbers right now, but the most dominant player in NBA history. I'll say right now, the only player that's currently playing that actually has a chance to take that title from Shaq is Giannis, because Giannis has the speed and athleticism to go with being unstoppable, being a 7-foot player. And Giannis is doing things that Shaquille O'Neal was doing in Orlando, man. He's the first to ever do it. You know, whenever it comes to a big man grabbing it off the glass, taking it full court, yamming it on your head, man. You know, Shaquille O'Neal was that dude. So, you know, with that being said, man, I gotta have Shaq. I gotta have him number 9. So on to the next one. So who do we have next? Let's go with Larry Bird. Larry Bird is number 8 on my list. I know y'all probably thinking, like, why is Bird so low? Bird is a 3-time champion, 3-time MVP, but his career was shortened due to back injuries. Let's just say he don't have those back injuries. May have a chance to be a little bit higher. In my opinion, Larry Bird is the 2nd greatest small forward to ever play the game. Of course, you could connect the dots on who's the greatest small forward to ever play. He still has a chance to get on the list. And, you know, Larry Bird, he definitely transcended the game, man. I mean, him and Magic Johnson, they saved the NBA. They really did. They made the NBA watchable again whenever you had, you know, stuff going on with drugs in the NBA, fights, and, you know, the ratings wasn't great. You know, Bird and Magic head-to-head competitions, man, in the NBA Finals, bro, it made basketball worth watching. So with that being said, with him being one of the reasons why the NBA still exists, that alone gives him the credibility to be where he is on this list. But personally, the next guy I think is a pioneer, which is Bill Russell. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Why do I have Bill Russell so low? Competition. Didn't really have competition back then. The only guys you really had to face, I mean, you had the Lenny Wilkins led, you know, Hawks team, and, you know, you had Oscar Robertson, and you had Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West, and, you know, but I mean, look at it this way, man. Compared to now you have, how many teams you have? 32 NBA teams. Back then, you didn't have a lot of teams. I think it was maybe 6 to 8 teams, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, yeah, he has 11 NBA championships, 9 as a player, 2 as a coach, but who was he going against? But he's a winner. He is by far the greatest winner in sports. Just for me, you know, he doesn't crack my top 5 just due to championships. So, great player, pioneer. We wouldn't be where we are without Bill Russell. Of course, he was an activist. He was active outside of the NBA, you know, paving a way for us. So respect Bill Russell, love Bill Russell, but number 7 on the list, buddy. Number 7 on the list. So that wraps up this 3rd tier of players in my top 15. So on to number 6. I'm gonna start out with Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan over Bill Russell. Yes, sir. Tim Duncan is probably the most disrespected NBA superstar in history. 5-time champion. He did share some finals MVPs with players like Tony Parker. But, you know, whenever it comes to dominance, he wasn't a flashy player. He just got the business. The bank shot. You know, being fundamentally sound. He wasn't really doing anything crazy. He wasn't no high flyer or anything like that. He just knew what he had to do to win. 2-time MVP, even though I think one of those MVPs belonged to Kobe, but, you know, that's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? It's my opinion, and my opinion don't really matter here. But Tim Duncan is definitely the greatest power forward to ever play the game, in my opinion. He is the greatest power forward to ever play. And, you know, that goes with guys like Karl Malone played the game, KG, Dirk Nowitzki, you know, Moses Malone. Yeah, Moses Malone, you know what I'm saying? But Tim Duncan made it cool to not be flashy and just be all about business. So that's why Tim Duncan is number 6. So that wraps up my first 10 players on the list. My first 10 out of number 15. So let's just recap so far. So what we have, and I know it's a little bit confusing because it's left to right, but you know, number 15 was Jerry West, 14 Oscar Robertson, 13 KD, 12 Hakeem Olajuwon, 11 Steph, 10 Wilt, 9 Shaq, 8 Bird, 7 Russell, and now we have number 6 with Tim Duncan. So let's go ahead and get into our top 5. So y'all probably got an idea who I'm going with and who's going to probably be left on this list out of 20. So if I got Duncan this high, let's go with Kobe at number 5. Yeah, I know. Let's look at this list. Let's look at the list. So I made statements that Kobe is the greatest Laker to ever play. Top 5 all time, which he does crack the top 10. But how is he the greatest Laker? And I have Magic, LeBron, and Kareem still on the list. Let's look at things here. So Kobe Bryant, 1-time NBA League MVP, 2-time Finals MVP, has a couple scoring titles, but I think he got robbed. And that's why I gotta have him with the edge over Tim Duncan, because I think Kobe should at least be a 3-time NBA MVP winner. One of those from Duncan, one of those from Steve, probably both of those from Steve. And I think the only reason why he didn't win was just due to some politics. And that's just my opinion. You know, something that incident that took place in his career, you know, it persuaded voters to act accordingly. But whenever it comes to shooting guards, you know, the will to win, the competitiveness, the hunger, the want to be better, you know, I don't think there's a player that worked harder than Kobe Bryant. Michael Jordan worked his butt off, but nobody worked like Kobe. You know, Mike played golf. Mike went to the casino. He gambled. He enjoyed his life out of work. Kobe enjoyed the work, the grind, the hustle, the fight to get better, the challenge, getting up hundreds of shots in a day, thousands of shots throughout the week, pushing that iron, you know, pushing his teammates. There's no player that worked harder than Kobe Bryant, but he was a copy of Michael Jordan. He stole a lot of his moves. Yes, that is true. So if you're a duplicate, the original gotta be higher, you know, and Kobe is my favorite player of all time, but I don't have him higher than Mike on my list, as you see here. So number 5, first player in my top 5, Kobe Bryant. Next player up, I'm gonna have to go with Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson got a lot of MVPs. I don't know if y'all noticed him. He's a 5-time NBA champion. How many MVPs did he win? So don't make me misquote. I know it's not 5. I think he's a 3-time NBA MVP, something like that. I don't. But whenever it comes to Showtime, there is no Showtime without Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson was all about pace, all about pushing the tempo, all about making his teammates better. You know, Magic Johnson is the heart and soul of the Lakers. And also, as I mentioned with Bird, saved the league. There would be no NBA without Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Their head-to-head matchups. And Magic won on every level he played. Won in high school, won in college, won in the NBA, won in the Olympics. All this dude knew was winning. And if it wasn't for health reasons, it would probably be more in the running for the greatest player to ever play, I personally think. But with that being said, he's just outside of my top 3. And as I stated in previous videos, Magic Johnson is interchangeable with Kobe Bryant, I think, between those two. But whenever it comes to Lakers, 1A, 1B whenever it comes to Magic Johnson and Kobe Bryant. But of course, my personal bias is I'm a Kobe Bryant fan, but Magic Johnson, you gotta put some respect on his name. He is the greatest point guard to ever play the game. There is not another Magic. Some people may say LeBron, but Magic is one of a kind. So that's where I'm at with that. Magic Johnson, just outside of my top 3. So now this is the good part. Who is in my top 3? For all of you that seen my videos before, you already know where I'm going with this. But for those of y'all who haven't seen my content yet, number 3 for me is the greatest big man to ever play in the NBA. Arguably, you could make a strong argument for this guy being the greatest player to ever play. 6-time NBA champion, 6-time NBA MVP, NBA's all-time leading scorer for 38 consecutive years until recently. He was a Laker, Milwaukee Buck, he played for UCLA, he won on every level. The most unstoppable shot in the NBA in history, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, is number 3 on the list. And like I said, man, you can make a very, very strong argument that Kareem is the GOAT, but I can't let him have the edge because he got one in Milwaukee. Milwaukee, Kareem was the most dominant force in basketball. That's where he won the bulk of his MVPs. He was the best player, bar none. You know, no one was coming close to Kareem in the 70s. The only players that, you know, was able to compete was Bob McAdoo. Bob McAdoo was a bad man now. Do your research. Bill Walton, you know, but man, Kareem, man, stood head and toes above those guys, man. And UCLA, man, this dude was so great. They banned dunking in games because of Kareem. He was so dominant, they couldn't stop him. They was like, man, what can we do to make it fair? And this dude still got buckets. And this dude still won multiple NCAA titles with John Wooden. So you got to put some respect on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's name, man. Number 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So this is where things get real. This is where this thing get real, man, because you got the top 2 players right now. You got the top 2 players. Let's see what we going with. Let's see what we going with. So I've made a video talking about LeBron James. I say roughly, now it's probably maybe 3 to 4 weeks ago, man. And whenever LeBron James broke Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record, I said, man, you got to give him the title as the GOAT. But ever since I dropped that video, man, I've been thinking and I've been reconsidering. I'm like, man, did I make a mistake? Or I'm thinking like, nah, maybe I'm right. You know, maybe my gut is telling me that I'm right. Maybe LeBron is the GOAT because he's already the NBA's all-time leading scorer, and he still has plenty of basketball left in him. So what can he do? You know, looking at the Lakers, now they actually got a team around him. Now you actually have talent. You're number 8 in the West right now, which, you know, they made a late push to work their way back in. But let's just say they sneak into like the 7th seed or the 6th seed and they don't have to do a play-in. And, you know, I just don't see that many teams that's in the West with the Lakers being fully healthy, being able to take them down. The only team that I could see beating a healthy Lakers team is like an East team like the Celtics or who else? The Bucks. You know, he could probably win a ring this year, and that would be number 5 for him. And if he takes over in the finals, that's another finals MVP for him, unless they give it to AD. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's too early. It's too early to make a decision, man. But today, I'm gonna admit, whenever I made that video, I was wrong. That's why LeBron James is number 2. The greatest player to ever play is Michael Jordan. 6-0 in the NBA Finals. 5-time league MVP. 6-time Finals MVP. I know y'all thinking, man, I'm reneging. But that's what it is, bro. That's what it is. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Simple and plain. Transcended the game. Took the game globally. Billionaire. Have the most iconic basketball shoe in history. I mean, where can I leave off? Athleticism is bar none. You know, the clutch gene. You know, he just does everything well. You got players saying they want to be like Mike. You got players that's on this list that idolized him, that took all his moves. I mean, what more? I was wrong. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. This is my list. Let's go ahead and take a look at it again. This is my list. All right. Jordan at the top. LeBron, Kareem, Magic, Kobe, Duncan, Russell, Bird, Shaq, Wilt, Steph, Hakeem, Durant, Oscar, West. Of course, you see at the bottom here, Dirk didn't quite make my team. Dr. J, I was strongly considering having him on my list, but let me tell you why I left Dr. J off. So Dr. J, of course, definitely transformed the game of basketball. He was one of the original high flyers in basketball, you know, along with players like David Thompson and stuff like that. But whenever you kind of refer to Dr. J's stats, he was a beast in the ABA, an American Basketball Association. Dude was multiple time MVP, all that stuff. As an ABA player, yeah, he did get one as an NBA player, but ABA Dr. J would be on his list. But I'm only considering his time with the Philadelphia 76ers. So is that fair? But didn't quite crack my list. You got Moses Malone, multiple time MVP. KG, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, champion, but you know, only one. Karl Malone. Okay, now Karl Malone does make my top 20, and most people be like, "Oh, don't have Karl Malone in. He's a. I can't say the word, but you know, allegedly he did some things. But you gotta forget about that, man. Dude was a hooper, man. Up until, you know, LeBron James made his push, man. Karl Malone held that number 2 all-time NBA scoring leader title for a long time. Number 2. You know, he's a 2-time MVP. You know, like Karl Malone ain't no slouch. He ain't no slouch, but he's not a champion. And he also has that big old stain on his record with that allegation. But Karl Malone is a bad man, bro. You can't let out of work, but you can't let off-court issues, you know, affect your decision making whenever it comes to where a player belongs with his skill, man. Karl Malone is definitely a top 20 NBA player of all time, in my opinion. Hey, come for me in the comments if you want, but I'm just here to talk basketball. All right, I don't care about all that other stuff. Quite personally and honestly, this is a basketball list. It's not a politics list. Do I condone allegedly if that's true? No, I don't. But dude could put the ball in the hoop. That's all I gotta say. So anyway, man, I appreciate you watching, man. Like I said, man, this is my list. All right, this is my list. I don't care if you want to argue my list, but this is my list. This is what I think. This is my top 15 players to ever play. So, hey, I would love to see yours, man. Drop it in the comments. List your top 15, man. It don't even have to be players that was on the list. Of course, you know, some players may have Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson, for me, he's in my top. He's in my top 30. He's definitely in my top 30. You know, some may say, hey, where's John Stockton? John Stockton is up there. Of course, for me, I left Isaiah Thomas off. Isaiah Thomas, and quite frankly, looking at this list, I probably could have had Isaiah Thomas in my top 20. Quite honestly. And to be very frank, Isaiah Thomas could possibly even squeeze in as my number 15. And keeping it a whole 1000% with you. Let's look at this list. Hold on, man. I might renege for a second. Jerry West. Jerry West may have to move out the way. Jerry West may have to move out the way. But nah, man, but this is my list, man. I may revise this one day, man. But, you know, this is where I'm at with it today, man. So anyway, I appreciate you watching, man. I got plenty of more content on the channel, bro. I got plenty more content. I got reaction videos. I got basketball videos. I got vlogs that's coming to the channel. All right. I got more tier lists. I got basketball podcasts where I'm just talking basketball. Man, I got a whole bunch of stuff on the channel, bro. I got shorts. I got reels. I got music that's probably coming to the channel. Man, hey, you want to subscribe to me, man. You want to subscribe to your boy. You see the quality stepping up. The quality is there, man. Hey, man. Matter of fact, man. While we talking about quality, man, let me show you some quality right quick, man. Look, man. Hey, I mean, let's keep it real, man. Like, man. Let me show you one more time. Let me show you one more time, bro. Let me show, man. Look what I got on my channel, bro. Look what I'm doing for y'all. Look at the production. I love y'all. I do this for y'all. I do this for the people. I do this for the supporters. But man, hey, bro, I'll see you back on the next video, man. Love you. Click one of these videos here, man. But peace.